Good morning and welcome to Jasiri. I'm sounding like Blessings, but with my own swag and my own steez. This is the show where we tackle the stories that matter with courage and conversation. I have to start by asking or singing, which way Nigeria, which way Nigeria, my country.
I love my fatherland.
Wait now, let me land. Which way Nigeria, my country? Now, Nigeria has decided to aim for the sky. Yes, you heard that right. So, according to recent reports, Nigeria is set to send its first civilian astronaut into space. Oh! Please, people clap now.
Why?
I don't know. Continue the story now.
Why not?
Civilian astronauts.
Which way
What does that mean?
Now we can sing. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which
So what's
way
wrong
to
with
go?
it?
Which
What's
way
wrong
to
with
go?
what
I
exactly?
love
What does
my
civilian
fatherland.
astronaut
I
even
want to
mean?
know. Well,
That means
at least it's different. It's
So
not-
I get that it's been their aim, right, since 2016
No,
to
Blessings.
send. No, it's true now to send an astronaut to space and all that to explore more of satellite and stuff. Yes, we've explored satellite for a long time. You know, we've used it to track our
Nigecom sats. I remember we launched one too. Obasanjo continues.
when
I don't even know about
You
that.
see?
But I know that, yes, they will claim that they've used it to track terrorist activities, even if we haven't seen anything. We've explored satellite. It's good. But I see that one of the major aims of sending a civilian astronaut into space is to explore more so that we
Explore
can...
what?
with the civilian.
Space,
Je te
satellite.
jure. Explore what?
Space, outer space is
No,
the
but
last.
Olu,
Have
the
we
last
finished
one
here
does-
from
exploring
man?
what's
When you
happening on
say
Earth,
civilian,
right?
there's a reason why they
They're
put
saying
civilian
civilian,
there.
so it's not
that
going to
means
be
the
Air
person is
Force.
not a scientist.
Yeah.
No. They can be a scientist, but they don't have to be working for any major agency.
No, we need to define that. You have to go through that to do that.
And it's not just anybody. Do you know the kind of training it takes before you become an astronaut in space?
I want to know.
So even if you're a civilian, they're not just gonna say, okay, let's do raffle and pick one person to go.
I'm
Nigeria.
interested to know
You go
the
shock to say
civilian
na
that
the son
has.
of somebody.
Was it a volunteer? Do you think the civilian would have volunteered or they would have
I
just?
even want to know the pedigree of who they're sending.
Okay, so I have more details.
Of
I love
course.
Give me
details.
details.
I love details. And I have one detail that might make Nigerians happy, but I don't know if it's really going to matter.
I
Because at the
highly
end of the day,
doubt that.
what we're hearing is that the Space Exploration Research Agency, which is a US-based entity, is going to fully fund this mission. Because I know that's the next question somebody will have.
It's a partnership, but so
Let
what?
me finish. I want to land
Let
in
her
space on the
finish.
moon. Let me land. All right? Now, if Nigeria is successful in this, we'd be the first African country to achieve such a feat. Again, re-emphasizing this is going to be fully sponsored by Sarah with no financial commitments by Nigeria's federal government. This is what
What's in it for them?
Wait,
Abiomolola.
this is what what is it? What's in there? All of it mixed up together. But anyway, they said that the selection process for the civilian astronaut will be democratic. Nigerians will vote to choose their representative for this historic mission.
God damn.
Okay, we should send our celebrities, Abi, our influencers.
Demand.
Let's
Well, I
invite-
know who. I know who I want to
Yes,
send.
Bovi
I vote our president.
to go there.
Tolu is researching.
He's a
Did you
civilian,
hear?
man.
That means
Wait, so
there
that are
there
we
is
supposed
more.
to choose amongst the astronaut that I've never heard that we have in Nigeria, or are we
There are
choosing
no
a civilian and turning him into
What
an
do you mean
astronaut?
by
They're
astronaut?
turning
We're
into
talking
some
about
kind of
physicists,
campaign, some
people that
kind of
really-
awareness.
For me, I just don't want us to choose a random person.
Why?
I want us to choose somebody like a scientist that can bring some kind of.
If a scientist puts their hats in the ring and we vote, then the scientist goes.
So that
if we
means
don't
any
vote,
of
then
those
president.
girls, that one that I bought a plane. Have you bought a plane?
they should really buy a plane.
Is that
Who
is,
bought
is,
his
plane?
I don't know.
And she
Have you
said they
bought
they
plane?
should really
Please,
buy
is
a
that-
plane.
If one of them now, they will just tell us that that's who Nigeria. They could make it Big Brother. Anybody that can
you-
shake
you have
or
not
twerk,
take-
go and represent us. Is that what we're saying?
But if we're not
There
going
should
to
be
be the
something
ones,
really specific about the selection process.
if we're not going to be the ones
Democratic is
spending the
special.
money,
So we can send anybody.
it's not a matter of send anybody. Again, even after they pick the person, they're still going to give the person training. Do you
Hey,
know
so
what
let the
being in
president
space
go now.
does to your body?
We already have private
There's going to
jets.
be an age requirement because even the US and other people
That's
don't
unfair,
send, don't
because it
send
has a private jet
older
now.
people
Do you
into
know how they will
space.
test your body?
So
Omo,
let's
my
not
own
talk about the
is-
selection
you are
process. What's
doing all-
happening there?
Listen,
What
I'm
are they
about
going
the
to bring
kaching.
back for us?
Ara wọn kan tí mò ń béèrè náà ni souvenir. You put the flag on space and take picture.
What are they supposed to do
you
for
do-
us?
that's
Like
why- that's why I
explore
said
and find out what we
social
can use
media
it for.
influencers. You like to shoot content.
It is
Why shoot
inspirational.
Content on the moon.
It is about space exploration and technology
It's
and
help
urging
us to
Nigeria that
see- she knows,
I'm,
though,
no,
that
I'm
this
trying
is-
to
she
help you.
knows that it don't really, it did not
I'm
really,
trying to
make
feel
any
more
sense.
exciting
So you know that it don't really make any
I'm
sense.
trying to fill in the gaps.
Well, there's
what
no
is
gap to
wrong?
fill in.
What is wrong with Nigeria going to space if we're not paying for it? What is wrong with
Why?
it?
Is it
Our
a
wolf is run
vacation?
belle.
But
Our
we-
wolf is running
Is
belle.
it a
What is
vacation?
it? What is
We
One
can
at
continue
a
our
time.
jollof
One
wars
at
on
a
in
time.
space. We can continue our jollof wars in space because he's a civilian, so he doesn't have any. So anybody can be picked. Just put
So if
your
they
name
pick
in
you,
the.
will you go?
No, let's put our name in the goodie bag.
So
I'm sure they did claim that
I'm personally even excited that
They put our name in that thing that they are doing like this vroom vroom. Tolu will
Yes,
be the
the
moderator.
lottery, the lottery wheel. Spin
and
the wheel, spin the wheel.
rolling
Will
wheel.
you go?
Go to do what exactly?
No.
To go and plant flag and take picture.
me,
What's
I'm
it?
happy that we're not the ones
I'm
spending
fat.
money.
Tap, if
They
they
will
put-
not take me. So I've already disqualified my family.
Sorry, I want to ask: is it a vacation, or we're trying to
is not,
explore?
it is
Are they giving us
work.
that code?
I'm
Will they
happy
give
that
us
fuel will
spending
not finish
money?
because I know
Because
that
I need to be able to buy and sell with aliens
We're
in
in
Mars.
this space. Oh my God. Mine
They give
is that
spending money.
there's nothing free. Free
Free
lunch.
it's a
town.
partnership.
Tolu.
We
So
know
they are
the
giving you
umbrella.
one something that's something
What is
free.
the need for
Mrs. Fat
them?
and Find It. We know it's a partnership. Please, can you tell us what Nigeria is offering to Sarah? Are you
Yes,
Sarah?
yes.
Sarah.
To
The
Sarah.
space
Sarah,
exploration
okay. What is a
research
Sarah?
agency.
Sarah.
Tolu is
If
under
you
the
would
weather.
listen,
She's
you might
trying.
learn. Jesus Christ.
Let's go. Let's
The
go.
Space Exploration Research Agency, SARA, from the US, says
Sarah.
that.
In the
You,
Bible.
did you say something?
Sorry.
Nonsense.
Inconsequential.
So
with the
that
price
they
of petrol.
I'm done. Sorry.
Oh, sorry,
That's
sorry.
how you feel like
sorry,
This is
sorry.
no noise.
That's how Nigerians fail. You cannot listen to simple instructions.
Sorry,
Someone
sorry.
said be quiet so
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
let's
listen
go.
and
Let's
learn
hear,
knowledge
let's
and
Did you
learn.
say it in Yoruba?
Do
Do you know whether I understand English?
Egbenudake, is that better?
Better.
Can we get a tape? Let's go.
When
Let me
the
try
Yoruba is there
again.
to be discussed.
So one of the leaders or one of the heads of the agency or the unit or whatever the entity said that the goal was raising awareness about the benefits of space exploration and encouraging private sector investments in the industry. And of course, Nigeria does have a rich history in space exploration. For those of you who don't know, a 25-year history in space exploration and space program development that you don't know.
established
Did I finish?
Nasiruddin in
Blessings,
2003.
am I done?
I'm sorry.
I'm not done. Now, that is being supported by Component Space Agency and talented engineers, and that this will be the fact that Nigeria becomes an entrepreneurial culture and expertise in mining and agriculture, make it an attractive partner for Sarah. Did you hear that? Entrepreneurial culture, expertise in mining and agriculture. So they want to send us to space.
So that they can
They're now
exploit.
interested in mining and agriculture. Oh, he's interested.
I already know that there must be a snag to
I'm
this.
proud of
There's
them.
nothing free in Freetown.
Yes, I'm
all
proud
of
of
us
them.
know that. There must be a
if we-
snag to something.
If we are not
A
exploring our
whole
own,
space.
Shebi.
They will now pay completely.
As
No,
in fully funded.
fully funded. and
Partnership. They use words
partnership.
that are
And they are even
sweet to
saying
the ear.
civilian.
And they say democratic. All in one pot of soup.
It's a partnership. The people that open their eyes
Tolu,
and enter the
whoever
partnership.
is going for this
That's
space.
who we will blame.
You see,
They know what they want. They've asked that, can we partner? And they say, yes, come and
Blessings.
explore.
blessings, it will shock all of you to know that whoever is going for this space has already been in training for 2 years.
They know who they will choose.
So
Oh, yeah,
it's
because
democratic.
I
They
want to-
democratically chose.
Today, I'm the one that is saying I want to see it play out. Let's see what happens. Let's
How
really see
does
what
it
happens.
contribute to our national purse? That's my. I'm all about the
No, it
catching.
does.
to
It may
this.
not
It
contribute
does.
to the national
this
purse,
time-
but it doesn't take away. Thank God,
It does not take away.
For
No,
now.
but there
For
should be
now.
benefits.
For now.
For now.
What are the benefits?
now.
to
They-
us?
We will come back here. This talk.
Just
We will come
prestige?
back here.
There has to be a benefit.
Is it
because
just
they've said
prestige?
it over
Can
and
be.
over again
There
that
has to be something.
we are
Do
all
you
of
know
this
the
is aimed at
inspiration that
exploring
comes with
space.
seeing your countryman in space?
No.
Which
That he
is
There's no
understands.
inspiration. T.
Buzz
is that inspiration?
Buzz Aldrin did it for the U.S. One giant step for man and one giant step for mankind. The inspiration that comes with
We are
landing
flying a
your
man to space,
countryman
but
in
we have not been
space.
able to revive Nigeria Airways.
Will it come
Hello,
back or not?
let's bring it home.
I believe
Let's
I can fly.
serious. Let's bring it home. Our national carrier is called what?
Your what?
Any of you?
Do you have
national
national
carrier
carrier?
is called what? What is the name of your national
Nigeria
carrier?
Airways. You just said
Oh,
it.
you have?
Where is it?
Where is it?
Ask Hadi Saraki,
Okay.
the
That's what I
the
say.
former aviation.
I know today
Maybe
your
he's the
lips
one
are
that will go
particularly
first.
glossy.
Maybe he's the one
That
that
means
will
you are
go.
Maybe he's the one that
pro-Nigeria.
will go.
I need somebody to go.
Don't ask all those
Explode his
pertinent
face.
questions, Okati. Don't go there. Don't go
But
to
wait,
those
can
things.
several things, you people are making it seem like several things cannot exist at once. Nigeria cannot, let me finish. Nigeria cannot have economic challenges. Nigeria cannot be dealing with removal of fuel subsidy. Nigeria cannot be dealing with the minimum wage issue and yet want to be aspirational and send somebody to space. Are you not multitasking?
Did
What
we
makes
say
you
we're
think Nigeria
looking?
cannot
Did
multitask?
we say we're looking for inspiration?
See,
Yes, you
I'm
are.
just gonna ask.
Who asked for
I'm just
inspiration?
gonna
You're
ask
looking for
one
it.
question in English language. I want examination students, if you are watching English language, when they say, please circle the odd one out of the options that T has put on the table. Minimum wage. What else did you mention?
I mentioned poverty.
Public. Then you come and
subsidy.
put what?
Space exploration.
Please circle the odd one. Tick the odd one out. is
Minimum wage.
what? No. You failed.
Yeah, no, now because they've used it to buy private jets, so it's even out of it.
Out of the question is space. Because
They
these
will
are
come and bundle
depressing
blessings,
It's a
matters.
priority, don't
They will
you
come
get?
and bundle this girl. oh.
Because we can go and plant things there and explore new food options.
And do
Partner,
social
Can I
media.
give you one
in
final
space.
comment before we leave?
Can Tolu
the-
give you-
from the
media.
duo that came to Nigeria to come and sign the memorandum of understanding regarding this? So
Did
they
you sign?
said
Somebody
they
understands that
signed.
memorandum.
I think it's NASDRA, National Space Agency Research Development.
Nasiruddin.
Eh,
That's how I read it.
me that will bundle you.
I think it was Sarah.
I will bundle you.
I saw Nasiruddin in that. I saw it.
No, no.
Tolu, please.
Please, I want to
give
go
us-
for a break, but I want to give you the last quote before
Hurry
we go for a
up.
break.
We're all tired.
The gentleman said, resources are limited on our planet, but in space they are abundant. Hundreds of thousands of asteroids composed of minerals like platinum, nickel, tungsten, and rare earth elements float freely, waiting to be tapped. Nigeria cannot afford to look away from these resources in space. The nation must key in.
When we have
Which
a
country
when we have a mining industry that is bastardized.
So you know the problem.
Catherine, are
As
you
in,
okay?
They
I'm
want
done.
to-
I'm
so-
I'm totally done.
We say we have to Uzbekistan in Spain. Did you hear what she said?
I did not say the best.
You said
I
so.
said
You said-
Tungsten.
Bam! What's the difference?
Tungsten.
What's the difference?
Akọ́kọ́ mama
It's a
wá
metal.
dictionary meaning to Tungsten.
Aha.
So
Tí
here's
wọ́n bá
the
tún wá
thing.
ṣe àti manage resources on earth, we want to manage in space.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni
No,
lọ́lọ́.
so
Who's
here's
calling
the
for a
thing.
break? It's
They've
you.
seen the resources
Break
that we
us
have.
off.
So they know that if they exploit and it finish, we can look forward to the one in
Take
space.
us to a break, blessings.
With Uzbekistan and the
Let's
rest.
take off. It's not me they chose. But let's take off for a break now. But when we come back, please, let's come back to earth and talk about the state of Nigeria. Because
Yes.
it seems that we are very delulu at the moment. So please, we're going to come back and talk about the state of Nigeria's economy and what all the facts and figures we hear really mean for us and our families. Forget about space for now. Jasiri continues. The Lulu is the solution.
I will hijack you now. You think I'll let you talk? You think I'll let you talk?
Honestly, I'm so happy that I'm in my Owambe mode because Nigeria, we need láti jẹ rice.
Catherine, can you, your anger, can you give me that
Anyway,
hand?
girls, calm down. We have an intellectual in our midst, so behave. Welcome back. We are streaming live on our social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. Don't forget to use the hashtag Jasiri to be part of the conversation. In the latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's inflation rate rose to 33.95% from May 2024. The data revealed that a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 11.54%, points higher compared to the rate recorded in May 2023, which was 22.41%. Let's be honest, we hear the numbers and the fact that inflation has hit a 3-decade high. But as Nigerians, we need to look at this in terms of this impact on the real economy and how the average Nigerian is affected. Let's talk about both the macroeconomic factors driving inflation, the microeconomic factors, consequences for everyday life, all these things, honestly, numbers and everything. But our guest in the studio is Eizu Uwaoma, management consultant. I didn't get it.
Why are you looking at me asking?
Uwaoma. Management consultant and founder of Hexavia, Nigeria. Eizu, welcome to Jasiri.
Would you be willing to go to space for us? We're looking for
As a
a
civilian
I don't-
astronaut.
I'm not out of this world. Think about
You people, Nigerians like to keep their feet firmly planted.
Planted on the ground.
It's amazing. Well, Eizu, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation today. It's a lot to get into because the state of the Nigerian economy is one that worries all of us. So let's start with the very basics in this. High inflation, we're hearing it, a 30-year record right now. What are the primary factors that have been driving this record high inflation for Nigeria for the past, I think, let's say 3-4 years now, almost since COVID?
I wish this was class, and it's not, to put them in bullet points. There are basically three things that's driving, we're heading towards hyperinflation, and that's really terrible. The first thing first is the floating of the naira, right? The second one is the drastic and sudden removal of subsidy, right? And then the third one is fiscal policy, which is reckless government spending, right? And also reckless policies around monetary, especially exchange rate. Because I understand what they're trying to do with the exchange rate, trying to use the balance of inflation, but it's been a bit unintelligent. See, it's like flying a plane without a pilot or without like a forecaster. Forecasters are like economists to economy. So I don't know when last we had like people who headed monetary policy and fiscal policy. Monetary policy is headed by the CBN. I'm not sure when last we had a proper economist running the economy. We've always had former bank MDs. Former bank MDs. We have a lot of former bank MDs, right? Soludo was the core economist that had a PhD in economics. After that, you had a former bank MD who's a MFLA, and we know how that turned out. And now we have a former bank chairman, right? Citibank. But that's a different commission. So it's really saying that the lack of intelligent analysis and intelligent implementation is the problem. Remember the 3 bullet points I said. Subsidy, sudden removal of subsidy, floating the naira. So you want naira to work on demand and supply, right? What that does to us in corporate is the boardroom. We keep adjusting our business model. We keep confusing ourselves because every time you don't float the naira, it's good to float the naira if you are a developed country. Floating your currency if a developed country makes a lot of sense. But if you are a developing, or even Nigeria fell from emerging to frontier, right? You know, so there are different categories. Developed markets, there is emerging market, there is frontier market. We are in that category with Mexico and all those people. We're not in the Brazils or people who are developing. So what happens is that you're supposed to make demand and supply, determine what the rate is in the market. That's naira to dollar. But that's not the case. So you stop floating naira at the same time. You remove drastically subsidy, right? Don't forget that that was the first statement that was ever made as a sitting president. That you didn't even have a framework then. There was no CBN governor new. There was no FRS new. Because macroeconomics 101, right? Economics broken into two: fiscal policy and monetary policy. Monetary policy has 3 things: to reduce inflation, to reduce unemployment, right, and to a large extent drive GDP. Don't forget our GDP has drastically fallen. We used to be #1 biggest economy in Africa. We're now #4, right? So understand what's really going on, because if you understand the fundamentals, you know that this is coming from a lot of unintelligent simulations of the economy. The model is very poor, right? So, but now, so the fundamental problem is those 2 things. Subsidy was removed without superior alternative. The refineries weren't working. So you were still importing and increased subsidy. We're almost back to subsidy again. Nobody talks about that. So second thing is that you floated the naira without corresponding supply to meet your demand. So there's always more demand than supply of dollar. Don't forget that Nigerians have a new way of investing. There is not anything that has to be business. It's take your naira, convert to dollar, and just keep it. And currency is called currency from the word current. It needs to keep flowing, but it's not flowing. So people are, it's so bad that some state government also collect federal allocations, not use it, I keep it in dollars because in a few months it becomes higher, right? So understand what's really going on. You start to understand that it's really intelligence that's the problem, right? I don't know if you know what happens when you give like a teenager whiskey and a Ferrari, right? Just think about it that way, right? Right, because I mean, government spending, which is fiscal policy, right? Monetary policy and fiscal policy is macroeconomics. Macroeconomics is the cost. Microeconomics, which is the economy of individuals and business, is the effect. Cost and effect. Macro and micro. Macro is cost. Micro is effect. So you see this, everything I explain now is the macroeconomics problem. The effect is the people on the street and the businesses that are shutting down. In less than 1 month, right? Kimberly-Clark is shut down. The biggest maker, the big makers of Huggies, right? If you're female, you know what that does when Kimberly-Clark shuts down. Right? I mean, Diageo is selling off Guinness, right? Right?
But somebody else is buying.
Someone's buying.
It's not that they're exiting. It's not that Guinness itself is leaving.
If you thought it was very profitable, you're not going to sell a business that's very profitable. You're not going to sell a business that's very profitable. Right? Don't forget that the guys who are buying have special skill. Tolerant group have special skill with low income type businesses. They run the Indomies, the power oil and all that. So I don't want to talk about that instead of compromise of product quality. That's not why we're here. So I've already explained what happened, right? It's the three things that was done simultaneously and in parallel without a corresponding review of what that effect is. I hope this is not too technical, but that's really what it is.
Because it actually goes right into, I think, the next question that Blessings was going to ask, because these are the same policies that are being touted by the administration as policies that are meant to somehow bear fruit. Nigerians bear the sacrifice for now, bear the hardship, and these policies will bear fruits. We're a year and some weeks into his statement about there's no more fuel subsidy. Immediately, I was driving to work, the fuel queues immediately appeared. And since then, it's just been crazy. So the presidency is telling us these things are going to bear fruits. Bear with us, bear with us. A year plus in, is it the people at the micro level who are not seeing the impact? Are we the ones ignoring it? Is there impact that's not negative?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? There's a part that's now not technical. So everything I explained about economics, technicalities of economics, there's a non-technical one, which is body language. So when a government says subsidy removed, and in the next 1 hour there's queue, it's not technical, it's psychology, because the guy from Apapa has not increased his cost on loading the fuel, right? So you see that body language is another problem nobody's dealing with, right? So government says, hey guys, hard times ahead, right? When you're flying and they say turbulence ahead, you wear your seatbelt, right? The pilot warns you, and the pilots also adjust. But don't forget that the government says hard times ahead, but the government has not adjusted. So we're looking at the government and we're seeing the billions that is being spent on this. In my own opinion, right, those things are extreme waste, right? And I explained to you, right? I mean, the amount of money we spent on Toyota, just Toyota cars, right? If that was a Nigerian company, it would create a circular flow of income because now that's Naira being spent, right? Don't forget that. So the body language of, guys, everyone's tight your belt, apart from me or us. I mean, you've seen the convoy of the system, right? A sitting governor or a sitting president. I counted once, I was in traffic, and they had to shut all of us down because someone was passing. And there were 70 cars in that convoy. See, we know that the 70 cars are not owned by the federal, some people follow who want to follow the president. But you see that body language. Sometimes when you tell your kids finish your food, it's not because you don't have more food in the kitchen, but you want to send the body language that we don't do waste here. So when you create that system of, you see, what kills an economy is three things. Japanese people call it muda muramuri. It means waste, delay, and inconsistency. Once even an individual has delay in his life, waste in his life, and inconsistency in his life, you're not going anywhere. And the current system we have has waste, has delay, and like there's a lot of grammar speaking, and we don't see that impact. You know, I saw the thing about the CNG, and as a model to reduce people who are using petrol. So let cars convert to CNG. But what's the body language? How many times have you entered an Uber, and Uber says I have a CNG now and not petrol? So there's delay in that infrastructure. So that's the real problem. But remember the 3 bullet points is the fact that subsidy was drastically removed. This is how we got here, right? Right, without corresponding infrastructure to support that. If the refineries were working and you even communicated properly to all the stakeholders, right? Second one was the fact that there was consistent review of monetary policies, which is supposed to be an anti for inflation. That was a real concern. And then you had a lot of fiscal policy, government spending, and taxation. Every single parastatal in Nigeria is almost acting like Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus, you know Zacchaeus in the Bible, tax collector. Everybody's collecting tax, and you forget that every time you collect tax from small businesses, you shut down factories. And every time you shut down factories, you open up warehouse for importation. If people understand what's really going on, you see, the problem is we don't know what the problem is. If you know what the problem is, half of the problem is solved.
But haven't we had the same problem for years? Is the problem of the Tinubu administration's making, or a problem they partially inherited and then have exacerbated?
So they inherited, to be fair on the system, you can't judge anyone by 1/8. It's 8 years to go. Let's hope it's 8 years, right? Because it's a 6.
Let's say 3 years to go.
So there's the 8 years. Yes, so let's say 8 years, 4 years, right? But it wouldn't be fair to judge them by just 1 year because they inherited a lot of mess. Let's not forget that. Consistently, I mean, that's a different conversation, right? They inherited a lot of mess. But then, I think beyond this analysis is now what's the way forward? I think that's really what
that's where I want to go. Yeah. Because when I listen to economics and people that know money, where are people like you in the general picture?
When in politics, the biggest appointment criteria in Nigeria is that you have to be a politician. Politics is the most lucrative business.
Because every time that we talk about things on the economy, it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. It's not a eureka moment. Some of these policies and theories that you have postulated here, They've been existing since time immemorial.
Yeah.
And we have people sitting in these spaces that make these policies without due consultation. Like we always joke on this table, is our general joke that we create a policy, then we think backward on how to make it work. But we'll put a framework down that it just sounds nice. So how do we make this work? We now retrace back. Because all these things I might not understand all the truancy of economy, microeconomic, but I know we're bleeding on all sides.
Yeah.
And everybody is feeling the impact. So Eizu, how long do you think that we can stay on this present trajectory where there'll be no total breakdown
And to
of
add
the
to
economy?
that, like you did talk about body language, and if we understand that the administration inherited a lot of mess, that's one thing. But we're seeing waste, we're seeing inconsistency, and we're seeing delay. So how do we judge that without judging them?
This is one of the reasons, just keep creating the awareness, hopefully that the right people are listening. But then there's also another problem that no one is looking at, and is the fact that if you look at how Nigeria's system works and how the economy works, and that's the sad thing about economy, the economics and economy, is that human beings will always adjust, no matter how
the situation
how
at
the
hand.
situation is. And that's the sad part. We all figure out how to make it work, right? A guy who can't get a job for 5 years, realize he has a laptop and has skills, probably a Yahoo boy. A girl who realizes that he can't get a job, probably become whatever it is. There are two sides, that hook up and the Yahoo. Interesting. So people would readjust, and that's the sad problem, because that creates learned helplessness, right? The guy who's in a garbage truck sees that truck is smelling, he can't do anything about it, he brings out his beans and bread and he's eating in the garbage truck. He's adjusted. His immune system also adjusts. He won't die. If you try that thing, you're dead the next day. Right? So that's the thing. It's a economic theory, actually. I think Canadian economics or something like that, where the human being in itself would readjust. But you see, that's the suffering and smiling that fella talked about. Because we all would adjust. Look, people haven't committed more suicide because the economy is worse. I don't know what that correlation is now. So people will adjust. And what that does, it gives some level of credibility to bad behavior. You see, every time you don't protest, right, I say, look, we're going to do this thing differently, it means that, they say just being quiet is a form of acceptance, right? So I think that's the problem. The biggest challenge now is the effect on microeconomics, because a lot of people will lay off jobs. If the minimum wage thing happens, right, which of course we don't have a choice, we're going to increase minimum wage. There'll be a spiral effect on minimum wage, so shops will reduce. Because people don't understand that minimum wage problem is not 30, 60K or 30 to 20, 200K. It means that minimum, that's the lowest you pay someone. So if I have a manager that I pay 150K, and all of a sudden I move the lowest guy, the cleaner, to 250K, I can't pay that manager 100K anymore. So that spins off everything else. Right? So my challenge is even on the effect on unemployment, the effect on security. Because one thing we realize in this country is nobody wants to see the type of 250 million Nigerians unhappy. Unhappy is a nice word for angry, right? Because that becomes a social unrest. That's what everyone now will be managing to be looking at. But that's the real concern in this case. And that real concern is, how do we make sure that people don't think it's normal?
You said something interesting. Sorry, Tolu. And I had to hold myself from just jumping on what you said, and a lot of people have always said that as well, that this government is not entirely to blame because of the baggage they inherited from the outgoing government. Now I'm saying, this is not a novel thing. We've not just had this government that has just left. We have had government over time. And everybody just jumps on the bandwagon on the talk that, we didn't inherit a perfectly stable government. So is that something to use to shade like an umbrella for bad behavior and bad policies, and policies that don't seem to work in congruence with the benefit of Nigerians? Now it triggers a ripple effect to now the common Nigerian on the street. How you talked about adapting. Yes, we adapt a lot, but it doesn't take away the consequences of what's going on in the country. We can adapt, and I say we can adapt only for so long. Something will happen when your back hits that wall, and we don't want to know how 250 million unhappy Nigerians will react when it hits the fan. So for me, it's like, how do we navigate? I mean, the average Nigerian on the street who's struggling to make ends meet, the consequences that they're dealing with, how do we navigate through? Because last, everybody wants to know how one take they manage for this kind of time. I know that there are parties, people have done Ilea, people have gone to borrow money say, from microfinance banks or third parties just to have a semblance of pay. I can still groove, you understand? But how do we navigate out of this?
Sadly, that thing is not a variable, it's a constant. So one thing when something is a constant in mathematics, you can deal. Right, so I'll tell you why. Culture in Nigeria is constant. So why are people still surviving? I'll tell you 3 reasons why.
Yeah.
One, we have a culture of hope, followed by religion. You go better, there's hope. The only reason why we are not jumping off
Don't say go better. Say it is well.
Right, it is well.
But wait, before we say it is well and we talk about hope, we need to take a quick time out because it's getting to an area because hope has become a campaign and a strategy for some people in this country. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, the state of the Nigerian economy, a breakdown of what's happening and what it means for each and every one of us and our families after this.
Oh, my people, welcome back to Jasiri.
This is not a laughing matter.
No, I'm serious.
It is kind of depressing.
That's our coping mechanism.
Because
going to space is depressing again.
Honestly, that is one of the most ridiculous things that we can
See how
say
the
at
Lord
this
dismissed
table.
it.
You know, when you see economics talk about these things and they use the terms, it just hurts me that these are the kinds of committees we should be setting up, made up of individuals that know what they are saying. If I'm a leader, and I know that I do not know everything. One of the biggest sell for a leader to me is knowing how to pick people.
Who know more
Just
than you.
get your tag team. It is use of this world, even if nobody sees them. I can say mighty men like the men of the round table in last, what's that, King's time. They were his power. David had a circle. He keeps them inside. They sit down and they postulate, they put all these things together. I keep saying that. I don't even mean that I'm not such an economics. I know there's something in business plan called projection. Forecast, where you think about if all these parameters are right, this is what would likely happen or should happen. And this, if this doesn't work, this is what is likely to happen.
Lolo, you're not even saying.
So are we not able to do that as a nation?
So it's one thing to even have a group of, like, put together a team. It's another thing to listen. I heard that there was a financial committee that was set up.
There's an
of
economic
advisory
council.
Who are those in that committee?
Economic.
Who are they?
By the way,
Catherine had a question before we went for the break.
That's what I was going to say. By the way, welcome back to Jasiri. It's just as that. This is just how the matter is. Today's one is heavy because it affects everybody. Wherever cadre of society you are, wherever you are on the ladder. Listen, it affects you insofar as you're a Nigerian. You have family. You have people you're looking after. It affects you. We still have Eizu in the studio, and we are talking about macroeconomics and microeconomics. Cause and effect. I got that right. Oh, God. I went to night school. So we're talking before the break. We're asking questions that Eizu had already started answering them now. How does the average Nigerian, with everything that's on the table, with everything that we're experiencing, with the adapting that we are adapting, where does that leave us? These consequences, how do these consequences affect the average Nigerian? How do we even attempt to get out of this quagmire? Because that's what it is.
Okay, so hold your thoughts because I'll talk about how, we know how we affect. We already said that, right? Unemployment, high cost of living.
Security.
Right, security. Those are real concerns. Because, I mean, I'm not likely to rob anybody now because I'm busy. Not because I'm being comfortable, because I'm busy, right? People need to be occupied, right? See, the universe, how the universe created is the human mind is not supposed to be idle. The vacuum will always be filled by something, right? But there's a conversation we're having about the 3 reasons why our coping mechanisms in Nigeria. One, we cope on hope. Hope is fueled by our crave and affinity for religion. Every religion in the world teaches you hope. So we go better, pray. You don't know when God will answer, but hold on. So we will hold on and not do what we need to do, right? And then the second one is black tax is big. Has anyone noticed how people chat you up on WhatsApp and asking you a lot more?
We spoke about black tax last week.
So black tax is how people are surviving. A lot of people are surviving by hand-downs, right? Don't forget, in America or UK or anywhere, if you don't have money, you don't have money. In Nigeria, if you don't have money, there's always somebody you can beg. Someone can leave his house with just 500 naira and get from Oshodi to Lekki Phase 1. He knows once he gets to the bus stop, you can ask and beg someone he doesn't know. That's a culture. So culture is powerful, right? So we have a culture of black tax. We hand down things. The guys abroad are sending money back home, right? Even though they are struggling to live there, right? So that's another thing. And then the third one is poverty as a weapon. Poverty is a very, very powerful weapon that the upper class use to manage lower class. It's even worse when you go to like the north, where one guy can feed like half of the village every once a week, and people gather to say Branca Dede, you know, and say you're the god, right? The guy who wants to do protest, all you need is to put the protest circles in small units, and then you fund the leader, and the leader goes back and say, look, we don't know. I mean, for example, we had a strike, and the next day we called off the strike, right? And that's a metaphor, right?
Yeah, it is.
Right. So poverty is a weapon. You give them a crumb, and then they react. Like you said offline before we went, like someone wants to fight, but how long can he fight on an empty stomach? So you give him crumbs, so he's full a bit to relapse, and that's enough time to buy. So that's the thing. So I just wanted to lay that out. Now, how does, and that's temporary solution to a permanent problem, right? So the real problem and the real solution would be, what's the long-lasting solution? So I think one is so microeconomics has two things, no matter macro and micro. Micro is economy of individuals and economy of businesses. So economic businesses and individuals, I don't know which will take place. Let's take business. How businesses will survive to not shut down? Because, I mean, we shocked over 5 million businesses are shut down in the last 1 year. We just don't have data enough to know when they are shutting down to close shop, right? See, I have people that NEPA are trying to cut their light, and they're like, you guys won't cut them, I can't do anything about it.
I have a friend that runs his house on inverter now. He said he can't afford the NEPA. He's on Bande. He said the cost of fueling is inverter is better for him than NEPA light.
Right. So business, how business not shut down? First thing first is, if you're running a business and you're still selling premium and branding and
services
packaging,
and goods,
shut it down first, right? See all this whole packaging, I'm a premium brand, blah, blah, blah. Nigerians are not looking for premium. Nigerians are looking for cheaper alternative. So Huggies didn't shut down because children have stopped using Huggies. They shut down because there are cheaper alternatives to Huggies. Let's not forget that. Parents could choose, right? So be the cheaper alternative. Look, the big brands that are doing detergent are not shutting down because people are not washing their clothes anymore. They're shutting down because the woman on the street is now mixing chemicals to sell for dishwash and for clothes, right? So,
but you know, as you talk about this, I remember people talking about I can never say this, the statistization of the Nigerian economy, where you see everything now available in sachets. Cheaper alternatives. So that same woman you're talking about, she's not going to be like a me who's going to buy 2 kg kidney. She's going to buy sachets per use and everything. But I want to go back to the businesses, because you talked about the numbers, because with about 40 million micro, small and medium enterprises reportedly shut down in Nigeria last year. And according to the Association of Small Business Owners of Nigeria, about 10 million businesses closed their doors in 2023. When we look at that ripple effect, and these are people who are employing, even if it's one extra person, 2, 3, 4, they're responsible for the majority of employment in this country. You've talked about the fact that if you're a premium business, bring that premium down. Are there any other strategies for small businesses that they can adapt at this point in time to manage this increased cost they're facing?
So one is be a cheaper alternative, right? My child used to go to Green Spring, can't afford Green Spring. A school next door should be able to build partnership with people who have been laid off in Green Spring to say, come, do you have any relationship with some parents? They can't afford Green Spring, but I have Green Spring quality. I just have Green Spring brand. Sorry, I'm mentioning brand, but you guys get the concept, right? So cheaper alternative, right? Another thing you need to do is, when people are shutting down, right? What you need to do is, what can you acquire from people that are shutting down? It's mean commission to have, right? But it's a real concern. Look, I'll give a good example. In the last 1 year, people have stopped buying brand new cars. They're now buying Tokumbo cars. Now, people that used to buy Tokumbo cars are now buying Nigerian used cars. So it's like, look for, now there's even a new trend right now. 70% of the cars you see in Nigeria that is Tokumbo is actually accidented cars that were brought in as accident, because that's scrap value. If you understand how our fiscal policy works and customs, because customs is not fiscal policy. Customs doesn't charge you the same when you bring in an accidented car and when you bring a brand new car, right? Sorry, I'm always body people's cable, but understand what that commission is here. So can you find scrap value that you can acquire to stay afloat, right? So somebody says, look, I'm shutting down my business, I have inverter. What's the use of inverter when I don't have customers? Okay, buy the inverter first, right, to run your business, because that's a thing. Then third one is strategic partnerships, right? So you're running the business, your biggest cost is maybe on power, on salary, and then on marketing. Okay, let's take that marketing. Why do you need to be marketing if you have strategic partnership with somebody? For example, I do small chops, right? And I used to spend a lot of money on social media ads. Now, Instagram will charge me in dollars, right? Because there's an American company, right? So I can sit back and say, why do I need to spend this amount of money on social media ads when I can have partnership with an event planner? Because an event planner has all the body that is doing small chops. Right, you can't do an event and your event planner is not discussing small chops. So you're bridal, you do bridals, right? Gowns, suits, blah, blah, blah. And you spend a lot of money on trying to get people to come and buy my gown, come and buy my gown. Can you go to a church? I'm telling you, as sarcastic as this conversation is, go to a church and say, look, your couples and people that are about to marry, you know that whole thing that they do in churches where they teach you on how to be a good couple, right? Counseling class. Go there and build partnership with the facilitator. I say, look, anybody who is in this place, who came for this counseling, it means that getting married the next 1 year. Right? If you've not found spouse, you don't go for marriage counseling now. Right? I want to have partnership. You have 50 people coming in. You have 50 people coming in every month to do counseling, right? Meaning that they're going to get married in the next 6 months. Let me give you 10% or 5% of every gown that they want to buy. Right? Don't even forget, cheap alternatives not mean to buy, it's mean to rent. Nobody should mean buy. I don't understand why people should be buying. It's emotional. It's an emotional connection to buy gown. It's just emotional. It's gown you want to wear for 1 day. You probably not wear it again for another 2-3 times in your lifetime. So, but rent out. So you say, I've killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Why are you selling when you can rent? 1. 2 is, even if you want to rent, how do you know the people? Why you do sponsored ad to rent? When you can go to that woman that this counselor and say, look, so every 50 people, because that woman is a thought leader, they respect her view. That's why they paid money to listen to her as a counselor. I'll give you 5-10% of anybody you bring. So that eliminates your social media sponsored ad. You're giving that percentage of that to that woman. So strategic partnership is a thing. And this is for everything. Look, you're in a place and people don't come in to buy anymore because you stop sharing flyers. Ask yourself, those people that don't come to my store anyway, where do they go to first? So for example, I'll give example. On Sundays, I'd go to church, and after that, I would go somewhere to eat. And I noticed that the woman who would go to eat has created a small van that now parks in front of the church.
But she doesn't want you to get distracted on the way. Nobody else should cut in.
Too many sharks.
And as you come out, you see me.
And as a customer, I know it's cheaper to buy from her because there are limited options when you have a small van. Then if I walk into that big place where my children will point everything, I don't know what the economy is saying. So it's a win-win. So I hope I've made some sense. Instead of strategic partnerships, being a superior, a cheaper alternative to the superior brands, because they're not really superior, they're just more identifiable. Brand is not about superiority, right? There's no correlation to show you that a C-Class by Benz is a more superior car than a Camry. I still watched this yesterday, and that's a different commission, because in the end, it's brand that we're buying, right? If you know what I mean. So you can build that cheap alternative, and then more importantly, you can build partnerships. Partnerships is how you build a business, a small business. Your first 1 million will come from hard work. Your first 10 million is smart work, but people that make 100 million come from strategic partnership. Sure, you know that you cannot hustle your way to buy the house in Banana Island.
Please, can you repeat that?
Your first 1 million will come from hard work. Your first 10 million will come from smart work, but your first 100 million is strategic partnership. It's not hard work that gets you to build the house in Banana Island.
You people should network.
It's partnership. So build partnership. All this whole, I'm an introvert, I like to be in my house. There's no space when country is hard. It's go out and build partnership. I do this. Look, I'm a management consultant. We realized of recent that our sales was dropping, and so was every other person in management consultant. I realized, wait a second, why don't we partner with guys in loan companies, in banks? Because you can't get a major loan in government or in bank without a business plan. I will write a business plan. So I'm saying, okay, you're a banker. Give me somebody who needs a business plan, and I'll give a percentage of it. And guess what? They have 1,000 people who they can give to you. So it's partnership. So everybody should start thinking, smart partnership.
I want us to go back to the minimum wage convo because it's hanging, and it annoys me constantly that it's still quite hanging 2 weeks after the strike was suspended. But whether it's the 62,000 that's now on offer, the 250,000 that labor is asking, government says is unrealistic. Governors say that they can't pay for it. What we know is that once there's an increase in the minimum wage, we're going to see an attendant increase in living costs across Nigeria. Is there any way we can buffer ourselves that people can start preparing for that? And is it always necessary? Does that happen across the world? I've always wondered. Because sometimes you feel like the typical economic equations somehow do not equal the same thing they're supposed to equal when it comes to Nigeria.
Actually, according to Phillips curve, macroeconomics parameters and theories, it's the same everywhere else. Once you increase minimum wage, we call it proportionality, right? It's directly proportional to cost of living, which called inflation. There's no way you do it, right? See, to to make an egg, you must break an omelette. There's no to make an omelette, you must break an egg.
Yeah.
Right? There's no invention that gets you to do that. So fundamental economics is that there is a direct correlation and direct proportionality between minimum wage increase and inflation. Right? What government will do, try to balance that inflation by increasing interest rates. Right? And interest rate means that we can't borrow more because the interest rate of borrowing is a crazy analysis, right? So I think I've answered that. Now, what can we now do? Because the truth about it, inflation will increase as long as minimum wage increases, and it will increase. What we now don't know is what numbers it will peak at or to be anchored in. Is it 60,000, 62, is it 250 or 100K, whatever that case is. So if that happens, this is what's going to happen. First of all, if the government wants to do this right, what the government will have to do is look at what do Nigerians spend so much money on when they collect salary?
Food.
Right, food. So can you create subsidy for food? So I'll give a good example. Why is tomato very expensive? If you go to Jos, I was talking to my wife grew up in Jos, and she was saying that there's a trick they do in Jos where people come, it's called aggregate marketing, where all the farmers come in the morning to bring all their tomato, and the people from Lagos, Port Harcourt come to buy. People from Lagos and Port Harcourt will calm down and not buy till in the evening. Does everybody get the concept?
Yeah,
because
so
by the
become desperate, they want to sell off.
You can't take that tomato back. It will be almost won't be as fresh, and then by the time you take it back, government can step in and say, wait a second, that's a simple concept, cold chain technology, right? Because it's going to perish. If it's going to perish, you can solve that problem by creating subsidy for cold chain technology. So people can drive stuff and people can keep stuff. Concentrates can become big, right? So it's subsidy in strategic things. So thank God you just randomly said food. What else do Nigerians spend money on? Power. This is not the best time to start doing band A, band B, increase drastically. Because look, don't forget, like those are, you can look at what Nigerians spend the most money on. Can we just hold on that, even if we need to subsidize? Because the truth about the government is not the one spending money, it's private sector. But so look, we'll give you a bit of, so that's where that technically comes. Then upskilling. Government spend a lot of money on trainings for businesses. Because a lot of businesses are doing things wrongly for lack of knowledge. Right? So guys who are doing things well went to LBS, but how many can afford LBS? So can government go into partnership with the LBS, say, look, can you bring LBS closer to Mile 2, even if you want to protect your brand and not call it LBS? So people can upskill because, see, if you knew better, you do better. A lot of people don't know better. So investment in subsidies for strategic parts of our lives, power, right, transportation, right, food, health, right, health. Because healthcare, why does my mother, who is 70-something, have to pay to go to the hospital? Right, because she's not working, she's living on us. My mom, but that's it's something. So, but that would be a classic avatar of it, right? Because he probably would have kids who can take care. But there are people who don't have kids, right? Or who don't have kids that are comfortable enough to take care of. So take those type of variables and say, look, okay, free healthcare people above this age. Child, I can still manage if I have malaria, but my child is 4 years old and has malaria. I'm going to run hectares scatter than if I had malaria, right? Right? So those kind of things you can strategically start to subsidize and say, look, walk into the hospital. If you're above this age, if you're below this age, don't worry about it. We've got to sort it out. Or if you live in these kind of areas or you do this type of business, because your business is so strategic to our economy, we will not take tax the same way we take tax for everyone else. Right? Right? So that's a strategic things you want to do. They spend a lot of money on training people, not just in even just how you do stuff, but how you sell stuff. Right? Branding. Right? What's from say a bottle of Coke and another person who is doing soda water? Is branding. Can you understand how that branding works, right?
I can hear disrupt that sound and I'm so pissed. I'm livid.
and disrupt the market. So government needs to come in, and there's a lot of private sector, public sector partnership. I'm private sector. I'm not exactly as it is right now, ready to sit down for 4 hours, right, delay, to listen to a permanent secretary who, while he listens to me, after wasting my time for 4 hours, knows that I am a threat to him. So I don't want to waste my time.
Sure, you know you never make it in that interview.
Urgent 2K.
Yes, we have to leave it at that because my ear is on fire. It's okay, I can hear you. Thank you very much. My ear is on fire. And I know that we had not intended the conversation to go this long, but it was just a really, really insightful conversation that was touching on so many topics. You answered more of the questions we had, so we didn't even really need to ask them anyway. But Eizu, thank you so much for coming. We look forward to having you back, and probably we'll need you to work with our small businesses, in fact, so that they can find a way through these tough times. We got to go before they kick us out, which is happening right now. We'll see you in space.
I love it.